Hey everybody, this is Dr. Lori Shemek.
And I'm Omar Cumberbatch. You're listening to This Podcast Burns Fat. Hey Lori, how are you today?
Hi Omar, I'm doing wonderful. I'm getting ready for the holidays.
Ugh.
Early. No,
Well, listen, you I don't know.
You do your thing. You go enjoy it.
I just, I'm not trying to be the Scrooge. It's just, I can't believe it's Thanksgiving. Like the year
I
went by
know.
so fast this year.
Oh my gosh. I know. And there's an actual phenomenon that happens as you get older. The time goes faster and faster. Isn't that horrible?
Listen, I can attest to that. That's exactly how I feel. I do not understand how this year went by so quickly. But
yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Exactly. I know. So how excited are we about our guest today?
Oh, listen, Reed Davis is one of my heroes. He is the godfather. He's amazing. Like FDN which is basically the school that he founded forget it. How many people has he influenced because of it? Including my hero, Sean Croxton, our boy Ben Azadi. I mean, Reed is basically the man when it comes to weight loss, fitness, health. He just, I don't have enough good words to say about him.
Yeah, it was really, really nice having him on the show. And, as always, our guests leave something for somebody. So definitely wonderful.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to share him with the audience. So let's jump into it.
All right.
Hey, Reed, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good, Omar. Thanks a lot for having me here. Nice to see you.
Hi, Reed. Nice to have you drop by.
Thanks, Lori.
Nice to see you.
So, Reed, I know, you're definitely a well-known person in our space, and we're going to be talking about fat loss specifically, but tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you became the founder of FDN.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been on your podcast before, and hopefully some of the listeners will remember that. I started in the 90s in environmental law and conservation. It's really a strong savior of the planet. I always wanted to do some good in the world, and I saw so much devastation and destruction on the planet that I started wondering about people. Air, birds, water, trees, bees. Yeah. But what about us, including me? I was getting older and I didn't want anything sneaking up on me. And so I just changed careers, jobs, and went to work in a wellness center where I had an amazing opportunity to help people and do a lot of work. And I worked my butt off there for 10 years, seeing their patients and with nutrition and different things. But my one claim to fame, Lori, I think you know this too. I ran more labs than anybody else. Just the labs were saying, "Who the hell are you?" You
11,000 to be exact.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's how I got started. Just running more labs than anybody.
That's amazing. That really is something, 11,000. That's very impressive.
No, that's just as high as I could count. And after that,
So, Reed, you are a clinical nutritionist and you have looked at 11,000 people's lab assessments, and you're also the founder of Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, which focuses on finding the hidden stressors at the root of many common health problems. And so I really love that part because you really, that's what it's all about. That's what finding true health is. It's getting to the root cause, because what, many of our listeners know that we're just slapping Band-Aids on things with medication. And if we can find out what's really going on, then, we're good. So what, if you could just describe what is functional diagnostic nutrition?
It's a name I made up because
I love it. I'm very creative.
I was having a workshop, and it was the first FDN workshop ever, and I had to have a name for it. And I kept thinking, and I love being creative like that, Lori. So thanks.
Sure.
and it's very functional. So functional medicine was just starting to get known. I'd started with alternative medicine, then it went to complementary medicine, and went to integrative medicine. We started hearing this talk about functional medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was always on the outside looking in, the outskirts of the health space, the physicians were going through a lot of changes, and so functional medicine. But I couldn't call it medicine because I'm not a doctor. So I was running the labs, even though we don't do medical diagnosis. It's very diagnostic in nature. What we do, we look for things that are really wrong, like you said, and the emphasis is there. But I've had my motorcycle into the shop, and they say, "Oh, we diagnosed the problem." Or your car, my computer guy would come out and say, "I've diagnosed your problem. You need a new hard drive." So I knew diagnosis was a safe word, or diagnostic in nature. Again, no medical. So functional diagnostic, and then nutrition, because I was a certified nutritional therapist and studied that a lot, and I was a metabolic typing advisor. But it's really more like nurturing, functional diagnostic nutrition. So it's about nurturing people, finding out what's really wrong with the functional lab work, and then nurturing them, teaching them to change their lifestyle, giving them lots of motivation, lots of coaching. And so it's really a unique form of practicing.
So, Reed, with all those tests, were there any underlying markers that you found that was specifically prevalent in people who happen to be obese and out of shape?
Yeah, there was a lot of things I discovered, and I had good mentors, don't get me wrong. But when you do that much volume of lab work, and you're not allowed to diagnose anything medically, you just really are looking for causal factors. And I came up with, I think I gave it out last time, the HIDDEN, not to get too complex here, but the hormone, HIDDEN, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, and nervous system. That spell's hidden. It's very easy to remember. And so all those thousands and thousands of labs, what I uncovered, the pattern I recognized in people was that those were, everything bothering them could be found in those areas. And you could add oxidative stress if you want, but that would screw up the word hidden. So I just leave it there.
I love that.
I don't know why you put that O in there. We'll just leave that out. The hidden stressors. So yeah, it just appeared to, before me. I just kind of, again, sort of recognized it. Just I didn't invent anything. Those problems have been around for millennia. I just, because of the labs I had access to, could measure
that's
things
a wealth
in those areas,
of information. Right? Yes. Yeah, that's fantastic. So what, in your opinion, what was the most, the area that you found the most, that needed the most help, that people had the most trouble with in your diagnostic labs?
Well, those areas, HIDDEN, and everyone's different. So I can't pick one. I mean, if with certain demographics, you might be able to. For instance, most of the people coming in our office were women in their 40s and 50s. So the first labs I started running were the hormone tests. And by the way, this is over 20 years ago when synthetic hormones got a really bad reputation, which they deserved, but it really fell apart for Premarin and these kind of drugs.
Yes,
fake hormones. So
horse urine.
I was in the right place at the right time, and so I was testing hormones and showing women that they could balance themselves by behavior and reducing stress and eating right and going to bed on time and all these things. They could do a lot. And there are, natural products that may or may not require a prescription that they could use.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, there are so many issues that people have, and that's really important that you underscored that it's certain demographics, certain health conditions, all lead to different issues. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that.
I could say too that what led to FDN, remember, it took 10 years to develop the HIDDEN plus our system of protocols, all the lifestyle epigenetic factors. So those same women, yeah, your hormones looking good, looking a little better here now. And then they're like, yeah, but my digestion isn't working, and I'm not sleeping well, and I got foggy thinking, and so that's why it took the whole constellation of healing opportunities to really get them straightened out. And it doesn't happen overnight. And there is, like you said, Lori, and I appreciate that, there's no one pill or even handful. You've got to do all the behaviors as well.
So I guess one of my questions is, like, if someone had actually came in to address the weight issue specifically, is there a specific lab that you ran, or did you just try to get the overall complete diagnostic of them? And because I guess me and Lori, I definitely think, and this show has always been about the healthier you are, the more likely you are to not be obese and to lose weight. So is that kind of the same way that you approached it?
It's a great question, and I forgot the show is about weight loss too. So
it's about optimal health too.
Yeah. And one, you want to pursue optimal health, and you should peel off any excessive weight that doesn't belong there, that there isn't a good reason for. And so I didn't do weight loss at first. I ended up learning a few tricks, but it was just about getting their hormones balanced, get their immune system under control, getting digestion working really well, and detoxification. And to do that, you have to eat right, go to bed, you have to exercise. And what do you think happens to the extra weight? Your blood sugar gets balanced, and it starts falling off. And then there's tricks you can do to accelerate it, but I don't always recommend those. If someone's a size 12 and they want to get into a size 2 bathing suit, it's going to be hard. It might never happen, but you could get to the one that looks best on you if you behave yourself. And usually their lifestyle and some genetics and outside forces have pretty much ruined, that's why America is sick, the SAD, Standard American Diet. And so you can live yourself out of the trouble you lived yourself into.
Right? That's very true. Yeah, some people have a much harder challenge doing that than others, but there is hope for all of us, to be as healthy. Yeah, to be as healthy as we can, right? We can only just keep moving forward. So what, you work a lot with people that have a low thyroid, generally. And how important is the thyroid gland to our health and our weight? And is the labeling of hypothyroid even accurate?
Well, yeah, as labels go, it's a legitimate diagnosis from a medical doctor can basically, for their testing, they use what I call the sounds like method. So if you said I'm overweight, very stubborn, can't lose it, I'm tired and fatigued, my hair's thinning, I'm got cold or even numb extremities, I'm sad and I'm constipated, they would say, well, it sounds like thyroid.
It sounds like love.
And it does. I mean, we call it a traditionally reliable cluster of symptoms. And so, sounds like thyroid. So they run a thyroid test, and then sure enough, you have low thyroid condition, which they would just label hypothyroidism and give you something to get the test results back in range. Now, that could be a little bit helpful, but we call it treating the paper. Like, well, so the main concern starts to be getting those thyroid numbers right, not all the other things that you need to also work on.
Right.
Because there's a reason, or there may be a really good reason, that your thyroid, which regulates metabolism, and by the way, there's a thyroid, every cell in your body has a thyroid receptor. You can't get away from thyroid. And so there's all these
It's
things going
huge.
on that could cause low thyroid, and yet physicians will call it idiopathic. Like, we don't know why you have it. Well, I can look at other things and tell you exactly why, or close enough, that you're stressed out and your body's basically shutting down on purpose. It's hibernating. It's actually an appropriate survival mechanism. If you're all stressed out, you don't want to be burning up all of your resources. So the body would slow down. And there's definite metabolic pathways to look at, including the adrenals and other hormones we could measure, and toxins and things like that would slow down thyroid. So if you're just taking pills, thyroid pills, well, you might want to look a little deeper at what's actually wrong.
Mm-hmm. So I jumped on your website for like the 10 millionth time, but there was one phrase that popped out this time, I guess because of the show, and you coined it metabolic chaos. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. And in weight loss, it'd be really incredibly important to sort out what I just now call metabolic chaos. And see, that's a term because, although Lori, you're right, you should always look for the root cause. There might be 10. Like, you can measure stuff that's really far upstream. Again, if you're looking at hormones, and that's not just the sex hormones, we're talking about cortisol, DHEA, and all these things. And so you're looking at that. You're looking at the immune system, overactive, underactive. There's all kinds of digestive and gut function markers you could find. So these sort of causal factors of the dysfunctions that are upstream, I call them healing opportunities. There's never just one root cause. And guess what? This is really important. They're having an effect upon each other that's not singly measurable in most cases. So there isn't even any measurements for some of this stuff. You just need a way of thinking about the whole thing. That's why we call FDN, it's a methodology. It's a method with a ology, the way of thinking. And so metabolic chaos is just a term for multiple causal factors, all of them crashing into each other, making a big mess of things. And so it sounds cool too.
So, yeah, it does. So somebody with high insulin, fasting insulin, high fasting glucose, and low thyroid, is that what you would refer to as metabolic chaos?
It's any number. You might be thinking of metabolic syndrome, which could include triglycerides and some other measurements. But yeah, that is metabolic chaos. But so is fibromyalgia, or chronic fatigue, or irritable bowel, or you name something. That's my one concern. Remember, I don't want to lay out a diagnosis. People had enough of those, and I'm not licensed to give one. And so we just say metabolic chaos, and here are the healing opportunities. And again, there's always multiple. You'll find them in using that hidden acronym, plus other areas. And then there's only one thing to do. You customize using that data, which belongs to the person. We own our own data. That doesn't belong to the doctor's office.
Yeah.
You can't get a copy of your reports, and no, that's our data. And we get to use it to customize our own unique epigenetic program, or what I call the epigenome. Your genes, we don't test those a lot because they never change. Before and after, it looks identical. Those are your genes. But it's the functional markers that do change over time.
Epigenetic markers can change just like that.
The epigenetic markers change all the time. And they could change for the worse, and they could change for the better, depending on you and what your program is.
So, Reed, one of the things that I was always admirable as far as FDN goes are the ability to do these labs. Like, what about the person who goes to a traditional doctor? How does that work? Are they able to get the same labs, or are the doctors able to interpret it in the same way an FDN practitioner can?
Well, we run different labs. some of the labs we run are not covered by insurance, so doctors just won't run them. They just won't, and they're not trained in them and things. But let's look at it from a higher view, 30,000 feet, whatever. They're different backyards. So, if you enter in a car accident and you got a bone sticking out of the arm bleeding, you're not going to call your nutritionist or health coach. And I could give you lots of other examples where you need attendant, urgent care, and that's what physicians do. And they do some other things when the downward spiral of dysfunction is really contracted, you're going south fast. Doctors are the people you need to see to get you out of the woods. My friend Tom O'Brien, Dr. Tom, he calls it getting the life preserver on. So now you get over to the pool you're drowning in, all this metabolic chaos is my term, and because you're really sick, you need to get to the shore where you can get on your own 2 feet, and that's our backyard. And we can monitor the things that really matter functionally, and give you all the coaching you need to improve. The body's designed pretty well. You don't have to teach any cells what their job is. They have an innate intelligence, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, you don't, you just need to sort of behave yourself, if you will. So medical doctors you don't really want to, the question needs to be rephrased, Omar, so that it's not one or the other. You go to the one you need. You get your needs served, if you get your needs filled. And that's the problem with standard medicine. It doesn't fill all the needs. Again, great and urgent situations. And when the downward spiral is really contracted, going south fast, if you can't breathe or
an emergency situation.
Yeah, you just go get out of the woods, and now you're in our backyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So so if somebody comes in with a health condition, what would be, let me rephrase that. Let's say somebody does come in with a low thyroid. How would you coach them into a better working thyroid?
Yeah, first run the labs. That's like a requirement of an FDN practitioners. I've trained over 4,000. We have hundreds that are active members of our professional alumni group. Not all of them, because some people just take it for their own good. Their families, we call them hobbyists, but the professionals. So
there are a lot of those on Twitter.
Yeah, there's a lot of everything on that.
Yeah,
but so we run labs like when we onboard. The onboarding process is, what's your main complaint? How often does it bother you? How long's that been going on? What have you tried so far that obviously hasn't worked? How does this screw up your life? And do you have any support groups or anyone support? Any reason why you couldn't finish your program? And what would you expect to working together? What we expect out of working together? And how committed are you? We only accept highly committed people. And that's because they're going to have to invest, and we're going to invest our time in them. And you want a committed person, so they're going to make an investment. They're going to have to pay us. It's a fee for service. It's not covered by insurance. It's kind of like a lawyer, Omar, you ever ask a lawyer to do something for you? What's the first thing they say?
Well, they want that retainer.
They want that retainer. So, we're a fee for service too. We want that retainer for 90 days minimum, or whatever the program works out to be. And you got to pay the labs, and they could run up to $1,000, but you're going to get to the, so we're generally onboarding people who are very committed. They've been sick for years. They're tired of running around in circles. So the answer to your question, Lori, is we would do that. We'd onboard them. What is your main complaint? How long has it been going on? How often does it bother you? And you got to get people to realize that's not normal. I had a lady once, she said she was 35. Her doctor told her, take these pills for a while. If they don't work, we'll just do a hysterectomy. That's perfectly normal. Which is nonsense, right?
Yeah.
No such thing as a normal
hysterectomy.
I don't think at any age.
No.
Sorry?
Yeah. No, that's not normal.
Yeah, so people have to realize that, pain and suffering and what's normal is joy and happiness and
Comfort,
mhm,
peace. Yep.
yeah. So you got to again realize, and then they have to. So that's what I would do for a thyroid or any other problem. Say, look, th- this is going to take some investigation and customizing of a lifestyle plan that includes. This is my other acronym: DRESS, DRESS. So I gave you hidden. That's what we look for. And then dress is what you have to go home and do. One of the first things that I recognized in the office when I switched to working there was that it's not coming in the office, Mrs. Smith, that's going to help you. It's what you do between visits that's more important. You can't just come in and get chiropractic care, acupuncture, all the things that we offer. It's what you do at home. So that's what we also became experts in, is the home-based epigenetic program customized by the lab work. So it doesn't matter, Lori, what if it was thyroid or anything. That's the program.
That's great. Thank you.
So Reed, and I think it's part of the DRESS acronym, but what about supplementation in the weight loss arena? A lot of our listeners are always curious about what do they have to take. They like the magic pill. We know there's no magic pill, but some pills can help you move along a little bit.
This is where the tricks come in. But everyone. I think everyone listening knows that you can't just rely on the tricks. That's for. Sometimes your body kind of gets stuck. These metabolic pathways get kind of burned in a dysfunctional way, and you still have to eat right for your type. There are different types of people, different types of diets. There's no one diet that's right for everybody. There's no one food that's right for everybody. But there are foods that are bad for everybody, sugar and things like that. But and so we do metabolic typing, find out what type you are, and then you eat like that. And guess what? Your energy starts to get better, and you feel like exercising more, and you're satisfied. You lose your cravings when you eat right, and then you even have a sense of well-being. Like you're a happier person when you're eating right. And so those things, energy and satiation and sense of well-being, improve on the right diet. Then if you also go to bed on time, you can lose a lot of weight while you're asleep. Weigh yourself, before you go to bed and when you get up, and you can lose weight while you're asleep. Lots of cool things happen when you sleep deeply, non-REM, deep sleep. And then so that's diet and rest, and then exercise, and then the two S's in DRESS, DRESS, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction. Laura, you ever heard that word stress before?
No.
So,
just kidding.
Well, I'm sure we could share a lot on that. But,
yeah.
But and then supplementation, what Omar asked. So that's the DRESS, and but in the office, and I've worked in office since 2008. We kind of went virtual a long time ago, and I mostly just teach, but I would hold up my hand and point to my 5 fingers. I'd label DRESS. Now, Mrs. Smith, I could tell you what supplements to take, but if you don't do the DRES, what good is it? You think you're just going to be pooping out expensive pee, and pee and put, what I mean? Like, what I'm trying to say there, excreting expensive waste products if you're not doing everything else right. So supplements are for, number one, food sucks. You can't buy the same food that my grandfathers grew up in Canada. Both of them, they weren't farmers, but back in those days, people grew their own food. And my brother and I had to go down the neighbor's barn and get horse manure and bring it and mix it into the compost. And he would till that into his dirt and grow all his own vegetables. And they both had fruit trees and tomato sections and stuff. amazing. So that food had a lot of nutrition in it, and we were genetically programmed to have lots rich variety in our vitamins, in our minerals, essential fatty acids, antioxidants, trace elements, phytonutrients. So you think that stuff's in this commercial food you're getting?
Uh-uh.
And even organic food isn't that much better. It's a little better.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we eat organic is to avoid pesticides and herbicides and rodenticides and all the bad stuff. But it doesn't have that much more nutrition. So you need supplements, Omar, for substituting what's missing in food. And then there are other uses for supplements. You can support systems in your body, the adrenals, the thyroid, the digestion. You can stimulate digestion. You can stimulate the immune system. Like before you get on a plane, take some zinc and echinacea with you, and just heighten reduce your risk of catching things. And then last but not least, you can self-treat with supplements. In which case, they're not really supplements at that point. So the substitution was missing from food, the support of certain systems or organs, and then stimulation, and then you can self-treat. The 4 S's of supplementation, we call it. So I don't have my own brand, but I know a thing or two about them. 4 years ago, I was just writing things down on a piece of paper and telling people, just go get that at the grocery store. Down there, we had these Henry's grocery stores in San Diego. They all got bought out by Sprouts, but yeah, that was just something to be helpful.
Well,
so DRESS is the epigenetic program. And when it's customized by the lab work, you're cooking with gas. It's still work, but that's why we coach people.
What would you say would be the best type of lab for somebody to go in and get, the general person?
That's again a tough one, Lori, because I run 5 labs in every person. I would say that I would call it the hidden labs. Like we want some saliva.
Oh, so you do like generally 5 labs then?
Yeah, HIDDEN. That's 6 plus oxidative stress. But you can get all of that plus your food sensitivities plus your pathogen investigation just with 5 labs. I mean, how many people do you know, or no, let's say, do you know anyone? Have you ever heard of someone going to a physician and being told their blood work looks normal?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And is it? No, can't. Yeah, it is, because it's in these ranges that don't mean anything, and
unless
you're half dead or dying, and so you're fine. Yeah, these people, they know
those ranges are, some half dead and dying people are in those quote normal ranges, the pool of people.
And people know something's wrong, and so they get told normal. Here's a chill pill. Just take your chill pills. I had a lady, I think I told this the last time, Omar, but I'm going to tell her again really fast. This one lady, real early on, I didn't know what I was doing yet, but I was working hard at it. I was doing a lot of it anyway. And she said, she came in for her chiropractic, and she was looking really sad. And she was on about her 8th visit. And I walk her back and put a heat pack on her and stuff. And I said, "What's wrong? You look really sad today." "Oh, Reed, it's this weight. I'm 40 pounds overweight, and I'm hating life because I'm 40 pounds overweight." And I cheerfully said, "Well, what are we going to do about it?" "There's nothing I could do." She's pissed. I am on this medication for the hives, and it makes me fat. And I went to my doctor the other day, and he said, "Lady, you can be fat, or you can have the hives. Take your pick." And this is what she said.
Oh my goodness.
And she says, "Well, that's depressing." And he said, "Well, I could write you a prescription for antidepressants." And so when I said to
Which
her,
cause weight gain.
well, and suicide and lots of other things. So they certainly aren't what she wanted. So when I said to her, "Well, hey, why didn't you ever find out why you get the hives?" Her head snapped around so hard, and she looked at me like I was speaking Chinese. like, what do you mean? I go, well, you can run tests to find out why you get the hives. Really? Like, she'd never heard of that or been offered that, but she'd been seeing this doctor for 2 years, just getting her medication and gaining weight and gaining weight and things. Anyway, we completely turned her life around. And I have hundreds of
Wow.
stories like that.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, no test was ever run on her for why she got that. Ever.
Did you ever find out what it was?
Oh yeah, we found out. It was things she was eating in her environment. Her epigenetic program wasn't working for her.
Mm-hmm.
Within 9 days of going over her results of her, it was a blood test or two, and she was off the foods that were causing that. And she told her doctor, I'm off the meds. And 2 weeks after that, she told me she was taking hot showers and working out to perspiration, which she hadn't done in 2 years, because even on the meds, hot showers and perspiring gave her the hives. So you talk about a life changer and how good that felt for me, when I was just learning 20 years ago, and wow, these labs can change lives, and I'm helping people, and I'm going to do some more of this, and I just ran thousands and thousands of labs and figured a few things out.
That's a fantastic story. Thank you for sharing that.
That's the story. That's how it all started for me, and thank you for letting me tell it.
And definitely a great story. So, Reed, you've been fantastic. So we wrap up, I just wanted to let you know, the audience.
Not yet, please.
Yeah,
that was
get you back to your tractor, Reed.
Yeah.
So, definitely let you go. We'll have you back again for sure.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to just mention, because you've said you have over 4,000 students. Tell us a couple of them that we might know as the audience, because I know you've produced many super successful and popular people.
Yeah, the minute I started giving a list, there'll be someone listening that says you didn't mention my name. But people like Ben Azadi and Wendy Myers and who are kind of well known, Krista Recchio and all these folks out there, Debbie Potts. These are people who took my training, and by the way, they have college degrees. They have at least a certificate or two from some other thing that they were doing, whether it was personal training or massage or maybe a nutrition certificate or a health coaching certificate. And then they take my training and they go, it just blows their mind. Like, wow, you mean I can do this? I can use labs in my practice on my customers and help them at these very serious, sort of deeper levels. Oh, yes, you can. And not only will they get better, they'll start filling your practice up with new customers, because that's how the holy grail of health coach practitioner is a waiting list referral based practice. That's the holy grail. You never have to look. You don't have to write blogs. You don't have to spend all that time on social media. Yuck, and do all of these different things. You just do some podcasts and talk to cool people, but other than that, you're going to get referrals. So then that gives you a lot of freedom, time wise, financially free, geographically free. Our work can be done from anywhere. You don't need a gym or a brick and mortar of any kind. We pioneered that over 20 years ago. The farther away from the office that I started lecturing, I just realized, you know what, I could just ship them the kits. They could submit the saliva or whatever it is to the lab, and I'll get the results and go over it with them on the phone. So I worked a lot at night. By the way, all I had was a pager and a fax machine. I didn't have any of this stuff we have today. And I built, a $1 million practice without a cell phone, if you could believe that even. I told Omar last time, I said, I really miss my BlackBerry, man.
I remember those.
Yeah, they were cool.
Well, it sounds like you are really helping a lot of people and changing lives. And that's why we're all doing what we're doing. So thank you for sharing everything. Reed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Dr. Lori. I know you're doing
Thank
great
you.
work also.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
So Reed, just let us know how we can get in touch with you and keep up with all the good things you're doing, your website, social media handles.
Yep. Well, please go to fdntraining.com/Omar. So FDN, that stands for Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. We call ourselves FDN practitioners, FDNers, FDNs. We're everywhere. And fdntraining.com/Omar will allow us to see if you're a friend of Omar's and present some special opportunities to you.
That's great. That's great. So Reed, have a great rest of your day. I'll tell Sean Croxton that you did not mention him on today's show, and he'll be very
See, I told you, man. Now listen, by the way, he was just over for brunch with my wife and I right before he moved to Arizona last month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's left the San Diego area. He's over there. And yes, Sean Croxton, that's how you heard of me, right? On his podcast a long time ago.
Yeah. That's my hero.
10 years ago. Yeah. See, I knew it. I knew I was going to blow that one. So tell him.
That's funny.
Don't tell him.
I won't.
It was nice talking to you, Reed.
You too,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Lori. Thank you. And Omar, man, always a pleasure.
Likewise. All right. Have a great rest of the day.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of This Podcast Burns Fat. We're so excited to have you as a listener, and we're hoping that you've really enjoyed the content as well. And if you did, please run over to iTunes and provide a rating and or review. It will go a long way in helping us continuously build our listenership up so that we can provide you with excellent content regarding fat loss, weight management, and just an overall healthy lifestyle. Thanks so much. Have a great night.